There's something I need to tell you. It seems you have been slightly misinformed because my first name is not actually Ming Li. My name is Mariceli de Los Angeles. Ming Li Wu, Rivera Lin Melendez. And this is the poem I do not want to write. My name is Mariceli de Los Angeles, Ming Li Wu, and it makes people stumble. My name is the Frankenstein's monster of conglomerate culture called Asian Hispanic American. I've never heard of that before. Is that a real thing? I'm sorry, I don't know. My name is the kind of name that makes people do a double take when they see my name tag, makes people apologize in advance for the mispronunciation, makes people confused when they ask my name and I say, which one? Makes people furrow their foreheads and squint their eyes and go, wait, where are you really from? And I don't have an answer. I'm from Alabama. Really? But that's not what they want to hear. I'm from a spot somewhere halfway between Taiwan and Puerto Rico, so like, Hawaii. No, stupid, that's not how it works. I don't deal well with embarrassment. I'm probably somewhere halfway between tears and yelling right now, so like, silence. The last time I cried, I was sitting in an auditorium in Boston listening to a story. North Korean refugees fleeing their everything on the life raft of a dream, broken by battle and baby brothers left behind. I was crying because it was a sad story. And I was crying because it was a story. And I was crying because I didn't understand how much more it was. Intellectually, yes, but I am haunted by the curse of the third generation, the one that loses its roots, the one that forgets its ancestral values, the one that dissolves into the Frankenstein's monster of conglomerate culture called American, the one that's doomed to be distanced, wandering, lost. I cry too easily. It's the Latina part of me. I'm good at math, Chinese. I wear my heart on my sleeve, Latina. I'm quiet, Chinese. I'm family-oriented, Latina. I have black hair, Chinese. I have wide hips, Latina. I eat weird food. I write weird poetry. I have a weird name, Asian, Hispanic, American, fragmented. But that's so cool. You can be a part of so many different cultures. Yeah, only I'm not. I have been studying Mandarin and Spanish since I was 2 days old, and my grandparents sang me lullabies. I live in a tornado of tutors and textbooks and tongue twisters and trabalenguas. I still stumble when I talk to my family. I still stumble when I talk to my people. I still stumble when I say my name. The airport security guard frowns, squints. Mary Chelly? I shrug, nod, shuffle forward. Sometimes I think it's better not to speak up. This is the poem I didn't want to write, because things written down have a terrible tendency of coming true, and so maybe if I never say my full name, I'll never have to stumble, trip, slip of the tongue, only it didn't go away. So I wrote the poem, I spoke up, and now my fears are coalescing into reality. The gap is widening between my name and my past, between myself and my forefathers, between Mariceli and Ming Li, and filling the halfway spaces I can find only silence. Thank you. My poetry is a way for me to be authentically vulnerable. It can be scary sometimes, but engaging with my identity in a way that invites other people in can open up a lot of opportunities for connecting, for participating in a dialogue about the shared elements and the gray spaces of all of our identities, for bringing people together on a personal level. Here's how I learned that. At my first spoken word poetry performance, I recited that poem, Halfway Spaces, way too fast to a little crowd at a coffee shop open mic downtown. My knees were shaking the entire time. But afterwards, something happened that made me forget how nervous I'd been. A stranger came up to me and said, "Me too." See, she was also biracial, and she could relate to the feelings I articulated in my poetry. Hearing someone else voice her feelings legitimized them and brought us closer together. It sparked a connection, a conversation, an exchange of some part of ourselves. More recently, a Filipino-American teacher told me something similar. A Chinese-Australian-American violinist in Carson City, 2 half-Japanese-American girls in Denver, the list goes on. After a while, I realized that if I hadn't taken the first step with my poetry, none of those conversations would have happened. For a dialogue to take place, someone has to be the first one to share. If I'm just going about my day at school or walking around downtown, you're probably not going to come up to me and say, "Hi, I'm multiracial. Let's talk about the illusory nature of the so-called American melting pot." Someone has to make the choice to be vulnerable, and then other people can respond to that vulnerability by sharing something in return. Gloria Anzaldúa, a Mexican-American cultural theorist and activist, writes, "Before the Chicano and the undocumented worker and the Mexican from the other side can come together, before the Chicano can achieve unity with Native Americans and other groups, we need to know the history of their struggle and they need to know ours. Spanish-speaking people working together to combat racial discrimination is good, but it is not enough. Other than a common culture, we will have nothing to hold us together. We need to meet on a broader communal ground." And Saldúa is talking specifically about Hispanic Americans here, but her words ring true in many situations. In this global age, we all have the power to foster conversation about identity, about navigating the world, about forming a more empathetic and aware community. It's true that there is still always a risk in vulnerability. Sometimes you won't get the response you were hoping for. I remember one time I performed a poem about being transgender at a speech tournament, and one of the judges was so not a fan of my topic that he decided to rank me 6th place out of 4. So, yeah, it happens. But one of the reasons authentic vulnerability is effective is that you're not asking for something. You're giving something, a little piece of yourself, and inviting people to give a piece of themselves back. The power of vulnerability is not limited to slam poetry. People can exercise deliberate, authentic vulnerability in all sorts of situations, from acting in a play to giving a TEDx talk to having an everyday conversation. So how can we harness that power? Today, I am challenging you to take initiative. Start the conversation. Be vulnerable. Tell your stories honestly, thoughtfully, and with all the complexity that they deserve. My poem, Halfway Spaces, is about 3 years old now, which is honestly not very old for a poem, but it's a decent chunk of my lifespan so far. I thought about retiring it from my set list, but I'm still performing it precisely because it resonates so deeply with so many people. However, I'm also trying to write new poetry that reflects the evolution of my perspective. So I'm going to close with this next poem, which is a sequel of sorts. My name is Mariceli de Los Angeles, Ming Li Wu Rivera Lin Melendez. But somehow I have managed to cut out all the Spanish when introducing myself. Hi, my name is Ming Li Wu. Shorten, sweeten, culture, but no inconvenience to your tongue. In coffee shops. Hi, my name is Marcel. Shorten, sweeten, whiten, no inconvenience. At school. Hi, my name is Mingy. Mingles, ML, Ming to the Li, Ming Leo. For a while I tried to go by Ari, short for Mariceli, but it didn't work out. Maybe I don't deserve a Puerto Rican nickname when my Spanish consists of yo quiero dos tacos, por favor. My Spanish is no habla español. My Spanish is Feliz Navidad, da 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 da. The one other song I remember is about a soldier bidding his lover farewell and treating her to be faithful. Si fuera falso tu juramento, en un momento te olvidaré. If your oath is false, in a moment I will forget you. My Spanish has forgotten me. Toca la marcha, mi pecho llora, adiós, señora. My Mandarin has grown with me. It used to be children's songs too, but now it is impractical promises, blood-soaked flagstaffs, heartbeats and heartbreaking kisses in the rain. My favorite song is Wang Ci by Mayday, commonly translated as Forgotten Words. I am still processing the irony. I once decorated my name tag with the Chinese characters for Wu Ming Li, ran around showing it to all my friends, so proud of my heritage. My mother asked me if I would honor my Puerto Rican name too. I wrote it down, but it didn't feel special. No one ever said, wow, you can speak Spanish, that's so interesting. My aunt used to sing me songs in Spanish. Apparently, it's hard to notice how interesting familiarity is until it marches away into the sunset, leaving you with a classical guitar and a broken oath you didn't know you'd made. I'm learning guitar now, but all I can play is pop punk, even though my strings were made for finger-picking and arpeggios, even though I can still roll my R's and swallow my S's. I told my mom I would take Spanish next year. But then I saw this really cool American history course, and I don't want to overload my schedule with unnecessary classes, so sorry? I don't know when my family became an unnecessary class. I keep forgetting Puerto Rico is part of America. I keep forgetting Puerto Rico is part of Ming Li. But these days, being able to forget I am Hispanic is feeling more and more like a privilege, and that scares me more than the forgetting ever could. So today, I am swearing a new oath. I will stand up and remember and say to the world, my name is Mariceli de Los Angeles, Ming Li Wu, Rivera Lin Melendez. And that is something special. Thank you.